We'll just do the
Dhyanam.
You can all chant online. If you can hear us, you can chant online. Okay. Om Padaya Pratipoditam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Kratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashaadhyayinim Ambattvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavaddveshini Namostute Vyasa Vishalapute Pullaravindaya Tapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajwalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vedraya Parnaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dokta Gopalanandanaha Pato Vatsav Sutir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Vasudeva Sudam Devam Kamsachanuramadanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadrata Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Vela Kula Ashvathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vatini Sotirna Kalupanda Mairanati Kaivatra Katkeshaha Parashaya Vatsasarojamamalam Gita Gandotkatam Nana Gyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Padairaharaha Te Piyamanam Buddha Bhuyat Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradhamsena Shreyase Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangvallanghayate girim Yatkripatamaham vande Paramanandamadhavam Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanisadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha
ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः एषा ते विहिता सांख्ये
एषा ते विहिता सांख्ये
बुद्धिर्योगे त्विमां शृणु
बुद्धिर्योगे त्विमां शृणु.
It's not shrunu, it's shrinu. Shru, like vrikshaha. Shrinu. Yeah. एषा ते विहिता सांख्ये
एषा ते विहिता सांख्ये
बुद्धिर्योगे त्विमां शृणु
बुद्धिर्योगे त्विमां शृणु.
It's still coming out some funny sounds. Shrinu. Shrinu.
This is one that Hemang just asked about.
Shrinu.
Shrinu.
Yeah. Say that again. Shrinu. Yes. Buddhir-yoge tvimam shrinu.
Buddhir-yoge tvimam shrinu.
Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Keep the pace because I'm already slow, so that everything will come for you easily. So let's not slow it down further, okay? Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Buddhya yukto yaya partha.
Karma bandham prahasyasi.
Karma bandham prahasyasi.
Neha bhikramanashosti.
Neha vikramanashosi.
No, not nashosi. Nashosti. Neha bhikramanashosti.
Neha vikramanashosti.
Pratyavayo na vidyate.
Pratyavayo na vidyate.
Svalpamapyasya dharmasya.
Svalpamapyasya dharmasya.
Trayate mahato bhayat.
Trayate mahato bhayat.
Vyavasayatmika buddhihi.
Vyavasayatmika buddhihi.
Ekeha kuru nandana.
Ekeha kuru nandana.
Bahushakha hyanantascha.
Bahushakha hyanantascha.
Bahushakha hyanantascha.
Bahushakha hyanantascha.
Buddhayo vyavasayinam.
Buddhayo vyavasayinam.
Yeah, that is a elision. That's what that S, that S letter shows that a is elided. Because there is a rule, engaha padantad ati. So when there is a, there is a certain diphthongs, and then the comes, that is elided. Okay? Buddhayo vyavasayinam.
Buddhayo vyavasayinam.
Yamimam pushpitam vacham.
Yamimam pushpitam vacham.
Pravadantya vipaschitaha.
Pravadantya vipaschitaha.
Vedavadaratav partha.
Vedavadaratav partha.
Nanyadastiti vadinaha.
नान्यदस्तीति भादिनः
कामात्मानः स्वर्गपराः
कामात्मानः स्वर्गपराः
जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम्
जन्म कर्म फलप्रदाम्
क्रिया विशेष बहुलाम्
क्रिया विशेष बहुलाम्
भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति
भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति
भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानाम्
भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानाम्.
It's not bhoga, it is bhoga. You have to breathe on the B. Aspirate, okay? Bhogaishwaryaprasaktanam.
भोगैश्वर्यप्रसक्तानाम्.
दयापहृतचेतसाम्
दयापहृतचेतसाम्.
व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः
व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धिः
समाधौ न विधीयते
समाधौ न विधीयते
समाधौ न विधीयते
समाधौ न विधीयते
त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः
त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः
निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन
निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन
निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः
निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः
नित्यसत्त्वस्थः नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान्
निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान्
यावानर्थ उदपाने
यावानर्थ उदपाने
यावानर्थ उदपाने
यावानर्थ उदपाने.
Practicing for Geeta Jayanti next month. Sarvatah samplutodake
सर्वतः सम्प्लुतोदके
तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु
तावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु
ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः
ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः.
Enough for now. So, that is a good stopping point. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam
Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah. So, he was told, this is I prepared this class last week by saying that what is going to come is a division. A division that is much maligned in the history of the study of the Gita, much wrongly understood. A division that is not assimilated properly. A division, in fact, which is very important to understand for our purposes. What is our purpose? Moksha, Atmajnana. So, for that we have to understand what are the direct means. What is the direct means of moksha? And of course, everybody will say knowledge, and that is the correct answer. And here, from verses 11 to 30. 11 to 30, we had the knowledge portion. The knowledge portion was given, correct? And I told you last time that he was still standing like a buffalo in the rain. Who? Arjuna. So, meaning he was not, it made no impact on him. Why?
He has to recognize.
Because he's seeing the world from his own standpoint of these lovely people. Who are these lovely people? Drona and the other one, Bhishma, all these lovely people who are going to supposedly get aft in the battle. He's looking at it from that particular point of view, from that standpoint. And there is a problem with that, because his vision of the war is eclipsed by his own idea, his own desires, his fears, his ideas of ethics and morality. What is the right thing to do? Even though Bhagavan in the form of Krishna is standing right there and telling him, no, I know the right thing to do. And I have heard this in my lineage, so all these things are coming up. Lineage, kula, clan, all these things. And then, what else? So there is a conflict. There's a conflict within himself, not between him and Krishna. Who is Krishna other than his own higher self? That's all it is. So that conflict, because of that conflict, he's not able to understand the truth of the Atma. He's afraid, actually, that if he understands the truth of the Atma as unassailable and that's something that cannot be killed, something that is not destroyable, something that is limitless, whole, that means what? Krishna will trick him into fighting the war which he doesn't want to do. That's why. He's standing in the rain like the buffalo, no impact. So Krishna sees the face and then, what does he do? He updates his Facebook profile with what is coming now. So, because this is how even the teachers, the best of teachers like even Bhagavan, learn how to teach. What to talk of us, even Bhagavan is learning how to teach, because first he, in all gusto and in all enthusiasm, he gave the entire Shastra, the vision, and then what happened? Nothing. That's the point. Correct? So now he says, let me tell you this thing from a slightly different angle. This is something a teacher of Vedanta has always to learn to do. One has to learn to do that. Because after all, you're trying to teach people, correct? Yeah. You're not learning for yourself, you're trying to teach people. In the moment, you may have some new ways of looking at something which are not new at all. But actually, you're trying to communicate. So if you're trying to communicate, you have to be an effective communicator. And if you're being an effective communicator, you can't fault the student for not understanding. Correct? You cannot say, Dumbo, why aren't you understanding? You cannot say that. That just shows that your own something is wrong right here, because you're judging yourself and judging the student. It's not the student's fault that they cannot understand. They can take some responsibility. And that Krishna recognizes here. It's not Arjuna's fault that he didn't understand, but having said that, he can take some responsibility towards what? Towards understanding? No. Towards preparing the ground to where the knowledge can sprout. Yeah. Because the buddhi is like a smooth, flat, hot, in anger rock. And over that the seeds of knowledge cannot sprout. If the mind is like a arid wasteland of hot rock in the sun, then you throw some seeds, even the most fertile seeds, what will happen? Yeah, it's good enough to eat, for physical assimilation, not for intellectual assimilation. So what one has to do is that remove the rocks, the hardened, angular, raga and dvesha rocks, and then till the land and then you plant the seeds. So Bhagavan Krishna tries a new tack, and he tells him that also. And this is not a new tack, because this tack has also this style, this pedagogical way of teaching has appeared in other Upanishads. Kena Upanishad. Kena Upanishad, there is a student, sleeping student. Yeah, one with the whole. And demonstrating that right in class. I am one with the whole. Correct? And then maybe the teacher made a joke, or everybody laughed, or the students next to him got animated. He jerks himself awake and he looks around, and everybody is, quiet, and nobody is saying anything. Everybody is packing their bags. He said, "This is unacceptable." And he raises his hand. Yes, teacher thought he had a question. What does he say? Upanishadam bo bho bruhi. Oh, revered sir, teach me the whole Upanishad. What was he doing when the whole Upanishad was being taught? So, there the teacher says, Ukta te Upanishad. I have already taught you, dear sir, the Upanishad. The entire Upanishad has been taught. When you were busy being one with the whole, you were in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. What is Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Yeah. An experience of non-duality everybody gets into. So then he says, he feels sorry for him, compassionately he says, Brahmim vavate Upanishadam bravimi, meaning I will now tell you the same thing from a different standpoint. I'll tell you about about how to reach that Brahman that appears in the Upanishad. Then he breaks into a story, which is a very nice story. And then he also talks about the tasya karmeti pratishtha vedaha sarvangani satyam ayatanam. He talks of the whole tree of pursuit, the moksha pursuit, and the Veda as the tree, and the Upanishads are the branches, and the feet is karma yoga, and all this, and you have to water that by sacrifice, by giving, by seva, and all these things he tells. So preparation. So ukta te Upanishad, and this is exactly repeated here. Esha te bhihita. What is bhihita? What is bhihita? Huh? Yeah, what is bhihita? What is before the bha? A silent abhihita. Yeah, abhi plus dha plus past passive participle. Abhihita. Abhihita means ukta. Same. It has been told to you. And while you were sleeping, this is what you missed. Sleeping, the sleep of ignorance, really. So while you were asleep, what you missed was the following. What you missed was a chapter called Sankhya. Esha te, this Sankhya, this knowledge called Sankhya, and we'll see why it is called Sankhya. This knowledge called Sankhya was told to you. Te, unto you, tubhyam. Fourth case. Te tubhyam, esha Sankhya, esha te abhihita. This was told to you where? In the chapter called, in the section called Sankhya. But the whole second chapter is called Sankhya. How come, he says the chapter is already over? Well, we have an explanation for this, because Vyasa did not make the 18 chapters. He just wrote 700 odd verses. Wherever he saw the sections, he just named them like that. People who came after him, made those segments from 1 to 18 and named each chapter, and then wrote a little shloka at the end. Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. All that was talked about, yeah. He did not do that. But in his mind, that chunk was called Sankhya, rightly so. So he is calling that a chapter, a segment, a section. In that section, it was already told to you. And then a big gap between the first and the second line. A lot of reading between the lines has to be done. What is between the lines? But it doesn't look like you have understood. Why? Because you haven't picked up your quiver, you haven't picked up your bow, you're still slouched in the chariot instead of standing in attention position, with a salute, ready to go to war. You're still, having passive, what is that called? Passive, dharana. Dharana means the passive protest. You're staging a passive protest here, You're holding a dharana, you're staging a passive protest because you're not, it doesn't look like, this vision of the Veda, of Vedanta, did anything to you right now. Never mind, because it's not his fault. It's not your fault that one is ignorant. It's not one's fault. But let me help you here, he says. Now Shrinu, now you listen. Now he's also it's a caveat. Because up till now, what were you doing? You thought you were listening, but you were not really listening. Shrinu, it's an order. It's a imperative. Lot. So, Esha te abhihita. Abhihita means already told to you. What? Sankhya. In this chapter on Sankhya, what was told? Yesha means all this that has gone before was already told to you. Now you listen to this. Now you listen to what I am telling you, which is what? Yoga. What kind of yoga? He calls it Buddhi Yoga. Now is coming a chapter called Buddhi Yoga. A little few exercises, yogasanas for the Buddhi. Yeah, Buddhi does a plank pose. Buddhi does a one-legged lunge. Yeah, Buddhi touches its toes. Acrobatic Buddhi, aerobic Buddhi, acro Buddhi. And so this Buddhi is this is a Buddhi gym. What I am going to tell you is you have to take the Buddhi to the gym. How difficult it is to go to the gym if one is not, in the beginning, if one is not used to it. You can't suddenly decide I am going to the gym. Yeah, they'll have to call an ambulance from there. Yeah, because something will be broken. Nobody can suddenly decide I am going to the gym. First you have to practice at home against the window and the wall and all these things. The shins and all have to open up, and the calf muscles and these hamstrings, quadriceps, they have to all open up. And then what you have to do? Then you have to get a personal trainer. You have to get a PT fellow. And then what does the PT do? Takes you on a baby treadmill ride. 1, 2, 1, 2, you walk on that slower than how you walk at home. And then, then you pick up a small little, small weight. And then next day you pick up little bigger weight. And then after that you train, and then slowly with practice, then you are able to stand up along with the weight. Yeah. Otherwise the weight is standing, you are floored, you are on the floor. Otherwise nothing is standing, everything is down. Correct? So you can't suddenly go to the gym. So the Buddhi is the problem here. Why? The Buddhi is distractified. This Buddhi is distracted. Buddhi is, grazing in the lawn of Ragadvesha, making itself wheatgrass juice from all the Ragadveshas available. Correct? Squeezing itself, all that. The Buddhi is, completely going at the surface of the Raga and the Dveshas. And as a result, what it is doing? Not listening to you. That's why Shrinu, you listen to me now, to this knowledge, to this wisdom, which is called buddhi-batics, buddhi acrobatics, and then where the buddhi is taken to the gym of spiritual discipline. Ah, wow, what a lovely gym. Where is it? I want to join right here every Saturday. 4 o'clock. This is the buddhi gym. Because the buddhi has to do some pull-ups, it has to pull itself up out of the despair and the despondency called, dipped in samsara, dipped in the vinegar of samsara. It has to do some pull-ups, it has to pull itself out, and it cannot do that without help. So he says, I'm going to give you this secret. He calls somewhere else, he calls it secret in 9th chapter, but he says, I'm going to give you this very guarded, beautiful knowledge of how to prepare the mind for what happened from 11 to 30, verses 11 to 30, that otherwise went over the head like a aeroplane, So that equipped with this mind, you can go back to and listen from 11 to 30 and actually be totally, free of samsara. Gain moksha, this is what you can do. So he says, buddhya yukto yaya. Yaya buddhya, with which wisdom. Here buddhi doesn't mean actually buddhi, it means wisdom. So what is this wisdom? Taking the intellectual, the faculty of the intellect to the gym of spiritual discipline. That is really what it is. And we'll talk about what that is. And then, equipped with which wisdom? Yaya buddhya yukta, then what? Partha, hey Partha, and then yaya buddhya yukta karma bandham prahasyasi. Ha, to abandon. Ha plus sya. Syatasi nrulitoho. Where have you heard that?
Some Panini class.
Panini class. Sya comes for the future. Lrit. Correct? Yeah. So, ha plus sya, future, you will do that. Hasyasi, second person. So, pra means definitely in this case. So, definitely you will ha the bonds of karma. What is ha? Ha. Yeah. So prahasyasi. You will definitely cut the cords of the bondage of karma. Doesn't mean you will be sitting in the Himalayas and eating goji berries. You may still be active in the world, but the karma will not bind you. That is the idea. Karma will not be of a binding nature. Oh, this gym is sounding very interesting. I would like a membership. What are my dues? Just show up. That is your due. Then if I cancel, if it doesn't work, and if I cancel my membership, what will happen? You will get a full refund. Of what? Of your self-ignorance. Not even 15% we will retain. No deposit. We don't want your ignorance. It's back to you. It's given back. In fact, we'll give some interest also. No problem. So, therefore, this is, and he's going to say that in the next verse. We haven't even seen this one. Let us see this one. Let's not get ahead of ourselves and too excited. So, here he says, karma bandham prahasyasi. Prahasyasi means you will let go of. You will forcefully be separated from the notions of bondage connected to karma action. Because everybody says, knowledge frees, karma binds. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, karma binds, knowledge frees. And he himself is going to say this in the very next chapter. Oh, and he becomes very complaining and querulous. Oh, Krishna, you said knowledge frees, you said karma binds, but yet you are asking me to kill those people. I don't want to. Why can't I take sannyasa? This is why, So there are two, not paths. This whole path psychology, we should just reserve for two paths, sociopath and psychopath. All other, there are no other paths other than these two paths. That's all. All this rubbish about so many paths, everything leads to the same, and they'll give example also. Temple is at the hilltop. Okay, so what? I'm bored. Okay. And then there are 4 roads. You can go from the back, you can go from the front, you can go on either side. Somebody said this to Swamiji once at an interfaith conference. And I was closely watching. I thought, okay, what is he? Where was this? This was, I think it was in Canada. It must have been in Montreal. And so he just did not even bat an eyelid. He said, yeah, you can come from all 4 sides, but you still have to go through one door to get in. The temple doesn't have front door and back door. You can't have the energy go in and escape out. No, it's all very nicely made. There's only one door. And so this is what the whole thing is. So we have to, here, this is what I don't want to say too much about it, because we'll see it in a couple of verses. We'll see this whole connection between what is the problem here. The problem is I don't know myself. Is that agreed that is the problem?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
If you don't know yourself, and if as a result of not knowing yourself, you are coming to wrong conclusions about yourself, what is the solution? I have to know myself. So it's a cognitive pursuit. But yet, there is room for, other ways to get to the place of preparing the mind to focus, to have the focus that it needs for this cognitive pursuit. Because if the mind is not ready and if it's not convinced, it will bring this 4-door theology, We have all kinds of theologies. Vibration theology, good vibes, bad vibes, this vibration, that vibration. And then 4-door theology for the active, Hatha Yoga. And then for the passive, sleep yoga. And for the introverted, bhakti yoga. For the extroverted, karma yoga. This is non-understanding. And we again cannot fault the people, because Adi Shankara himself was really angry when he wrote the Bhashya to this particular chapter. I have read this and told you. The Bhashya to the 2nd chapter is 8 pages long. We saw that. We saw how he said, and then there are all these people who want to keep everyone happy, and so they say a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of karma, and you mix the two and knead a nice dough and make a chapati, and then you have moksha chapati. So this is called jnana karma samuchchaya. That also he refutes. Primarily because we have to understand what is the bondage here. If the bondage is real, it cannot be removed, correct? That which is real, Brahman is real. Can you remove Brahman? No. If bondage also starting with B is also real. Let's say there is no Brahman, there is only bondage. If it is real, can it be removed? No. And I tell you, if bondage is real, nobody will be fighting it, because this is how it is. Okay, so bondage is unreal. If it is unreal, and if you try to keep removing unreal things, you will be diagnosed with Lady Macbeth syndrome. She was also saying out and try keeping on washing hands. She had OCD, and she was always washing hands because she saw blood on her hands, because she had engineered the death of the brother-in-law so that her husband could, ascend the throne. And the guilt of that was making her see blood on her hands. And whoever came to you, she would say, do you see any spots? Whoever came to visit her, she would, in the palace, she would say, do you see any spots? And always wiping, washing. And roaming the halls of the mansion, of the palace, washing hands, rubbing the hands, wringing the hands. And so that means what? If only she can see this, that means it is not there, correct? So, can you remove the spots of blood that are not there? No. So if bondage is unreal, it need not be removed. There's no need to remove something that's not there. Correct? Like the elephant in the room. Is it there? No. So there is no need to remove the elephant in the room because it is not there. And if it is real, it cannot be removed. If the bondage is unreal, it need not be removed. So what is the nature of bondage? The nature of bondage is that it's very intelligent. It is there as long as the ajnanam, the self-ignorance is there, and it goes the moment the self-ignorance is gone. A very clever bondage. So what is this bondage? Bondage is notional. It's a notion of bondage, just like the Lady Macbeth notion that her hands were dyed in the blood of the killed monarch. So therefore, but in Lady Macbeth's case, she was the only one who was having this syndrome. Here, everyone is participating in a collective delusion. That's the only difference. Everybody says, I am bound, I am bound, I am bound. And when we go around the room, everybody says, I am bound, I am bound, I am bound. Very soon you have a support group. A support group of bound people. Correct? Yeah. Who want to intuit their way to moksha. Arey, moksha is you. How are you going to intuit your way? We are talking of the nature of the intuiter. And sometimes, there is so much aversion to teacher and teaching. They want some higher source to come and teach. As though the higher source doesn't have anything better to do. Yeah. Higher source has to do other things. Why does it have to come and teach you? What is this higher source? This is all these things we have to see, And we don't know. It's not, we hear in the Puranas that God directly came and taught such and such a person. Okay, fine. We don't not believe that. Yes, the possibility is there. Dakshinamurti taught those 4 sages. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, Sanat Sujata, all of them he taught. He directly taught. Bhagavan taught. Okay, no problem. No, Bhagavan has to come and teach me also. You be like them first. Then let Bhagavan come. You be like them. How? In your mind, in the clarity, in the purity, this is what you have to tell people who say this. So here he says that this already has been taught. Now I'm going to give you a big missing link. Yeah. Not between you and the primate. That's not the missing link. That's not the missing link we are talking about. The missing link between your primal raga dveshas and this knowledge. Because these raga dveshas that are monkeying around in your inner, infrastructure and swinging from nerve to nerve, and these raga dveshas have to be tamed. Those primates, the inner primates, have to be tamed. You may have evolved, outside. But inside, you are still a primate. And how do you say primate in Sanskrit? Prakrita buddhi. This is what is primate. Yeah, as nature made. Prakritehe iyam prakritam. So as nature made, meaning you have not put any effort to improve yourself at all. So the inner, infrastructure is that of a primate. Outside you are suited, booted and tied up in various notions and you look like a civilized person, but inside the raga dveshas are wreaking havoc and they are just monkeying around, fighting with one another, throwing coconuts at one another and doing all the things they did in the Rama Ravana Yuddha. In that the primates had a very big they had a very big role, and they were there for comic relief because otherwise it's a very serious story. Yeah. So this is what it is. So the inner primates, in other words, those primal urges which will not keep quiet, which want to be fulfilled just now, right now, anyhow, these are the ones. You have to corral them. You have to corral these primates and put them in chimpanzee school and give them one iPad. Now chimpanzees also. Chimpanzees have iPad. Yeah. You may not have one, but chimpanzee has one. And then it is talking on, what was that? It is talking on one iPad, or maybe on Skype. It was not Skype, it was something else. It was some other thing. FaceTime, yeah. So it was talking on this FaceTime, and then it typed some things, and it was chatting with one young girl who was safely outside the bar, and it is typing. It said, "How are you?" It said a lot of things. This is what, it was very civil. Now no one will know, and we don't want to know what will happen if that glass was removed. They did not try that, but it was very civilized. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And now these inner ragadveshas have to be trained. They have to be put in obedience school. Yeah, not the dog. You have to put the urges, the desires, and all the other things that are the byproducts of the desires, which are krodha. The byproduct of kama is krodha. See, I'm warming up. So, krodha, lobha. Lobha is greed, avarice, greed. And then moha, delusion, further delusion. So I am deluded, anyam deludayati. And this is what it is. One is deluded oneself and then goes into further delusion and deludes others also. Then moha, mada is what is that? Pride, and then matsarya, jealousy. So these are all the primates jumping up and down, causing havoc inside, so that I am not available for this knowledge, because the primates are having a wonderful thing in the jungle of the mind. So the tasks at hand are very clear and simple. In Hindi we have a proverb. If somebody is playing an annoying tune on the flute, what do you have to do? And they don't listen when you say don't play. What do? Huh? No, you confiscate the flute. Correct? Na rahega baans, na bajegi bansuri. So if there is no flute, then how will they make horrible noises? Because they are still learning. So all the shrill, all apaswaras are coming. So what do? You confiscate the flute. So here in this inner primate jungle of ragadvesha swinging from one place to another, first you corral them all and send them to obedience school. And then what do you have to do? Once they are back from obedience school, and if they see the jungle gym, they will again start monkeying around. You have to prune the jungle. So the tasks at hand are twofold and very clear. Put the ragadveshas on a drastic reduction diet. Water and dry bread. That's what they should be on. Correct? And then the jungle, full of all this lush foliage where they can hide and then sneak up and creep up on you and then jump on your head. All these things should not be allowed. They should not be allowed to ambush you from anywhere. So therefore what? The jungle has to be cut down. So that they are sitting there with their iPads and communicating. I want a balloon, All right, we'll see later. You are in charge now. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. No, I want it now. If you do that, I'll take your iPad away. Okay. I'm going to sit down. Yeah, this is the whole thing. And these iPads are everywhere. I went to buy one computer, and then the man gave me one iPad. I said, what is this for? You have to write down what you want to do on that, I suppose. Yeah. So that is the whole thing. I was getting ready to say, I don't want an iPad, I want a computer. But then I realized that this iPad is to put your name in the queue. So these iPads are proliferating, the capitalist jungle, which is the concrete jungle, and also the jungle in the animal sanctuaries as well. And the cats I don't know about big cats, but the small cats, there are special games that you can download on the iPad so that when you are gone, you can leave the iPad in the middle of the room, and then there are flying birdies which the cat can catch. And then there are fishies that are swimming which the cat can, and the water makes some splashing sound and then, does all kinds of things. And you can leave it on the whole day and your cat will not get bored. You may be bored, but so all these kinds of things. So anyhow, this is just a metaphor for training the preferences to toe the line, so that your mind is available to you. See, and remember, we are not trying to remove them. What are we trying to do? Train them. Put them on a leash. Take them for a walk. Not like some dogs. When the dogs go for a walk, you don't know if they are taking the owner for the walk. Because the owner is taking them for the walk, there is a big doubt. Because usually who is in front? Dog. Yeah. And who is really straining and trying to keep up, huffing and puffing? The owner. This is how it is. So that you have to change and make it the other way around, where you are in front and what is in the leash is following you, tamely in the back. So this is the taming the shrew of ragadveshas. Too many Shakespeare today. What? Macbeth and taming the shrew. Yeah. So this is, Hamlet usually comes, but these two came today. So you have to tame the ragadveshas, and then without which the knowledge, which is called Sankhya. And why is it called Sankhya? Samyak khyayate iti Sankhya. Khya. What does khya mean?
To tell.
Huh?
To tell.
To tell. Yeah, to assimilate, to tell, many meanings. So khya, akhya means story. So samyak means very well told and also very well assimilated. Very well assimilated by the who? Shishya. And very well told by the Guru. So in that word Sankhya, the whole lineage comes. That's why it's a wonderful word. Very beautiful word. So the taming of the ragadveshas means removing the, what is that called? First you train the ragadveshas and removing the habitual places where they hide. This is all an internal jhadu. What is jhadu? Yeah, broom. Yeah. You sweep out the corners and then you rearrange everything so that there are no corners where they can go and hide. And this is so that they can't jump at you when you're not looking. This is the whole idea. Because without this, the Sankhya will not yield results. You are the whole. Yeah, right. If I am the whole, how come the neighbor is, doing very well in life? How come I am not? If I am the whole, then why am I not getting what I want? You are the whole doesn't mean that you will get what you want. You are the whole means that the wanter in you goes to sleep. That is what it really means. But here, this is not properly understood. So there is a lot of misunderstanding, and until the mind is clear, the knowledge will not come. We'll take just a 2-minute break if people need to stretch.
Started at 4. Okay.
So, thank you. Oh. Is this new?
Yes.
Same one?
Mm.
Ah. It joined nicely.
Alma's.
Huh?
Alma's school.
Joined very nicely. Wonderful. Not a good idea?
Oh, no. I think it's fine. Yeah, lots of
This one has come to sit on our head, they are saying. Oh, very nice hot water.
Jenny taught me how to make it.
Okay, further. So, this interim jungle gym of getting rid of all the reactivity through the kama, krodha, moha, lobha, mada, matsarya, all these things, reducing, making a reduction out of the desires, and then what? And then making the mind no longer open to the temptation of those particular desires that come and want to have a mainstay in the heart. So making the mind strong, all this together is known as karma yoga. This is the reason why karma yoga is so holy, and this is the reason why karma yoga is extremely sacred and a very important auxiliary means alongside the knowledge, whose importance in assimilating the knowledge cannot be underscored. This is a very important thing. So what is karma yoga? Karma yoga has actually nothing to do with action. Because I told you have to cut down the jungle, not the gym. Send them to gym. Send the ragadveshas to gym, school, and cut down the jungle. What is the jungle here? Karma phala. Fruit of action is the jungle here, where they throw coconuts at each other and do all kinds of acrobatics. This is the jungle. Why? Because nobody is interested in action. What are people interested in? Results. Yeah. Phalaya karma. For the sake of the fruit alone, the action is done. You ask anybody, why are you working 5 days a week? Right? Huh? Saturday, Sunday, so that I can have the weekend off. But then you end up having 2 classes. What to do? And Saturday, Sunday. Then why are you working for the whole year? So that I can get 2 or sometimes 3 weeks off. Then why are you working for 30 years? So that I can get the whole life off afterwards. Before it offs itself. I have some time to do whatever I want. So it is all for the sake of bhoga, for the sake of enjoying the results that one does. Nobody is interested in karma. And Arjuna is going to be told, and he is told that the fruit of karma is what binds. How does it bind? The fruit doesn't bind. Poor fruit. What can a mango do? It cannot bind. That's not, the fruit of karma doesn't bind. What binds are my expectations, in vis-a-vis the fruit. It's not big enough, it's not sweet enough, it's not nice enough, the other one is bigger, what I have is not good, I have to go for the next one. That is what binds. the expectations. And what are expectations other than ragadveshas? Yeah. So the jungle of ragadveshas, before cutting down, the expectations that connected to the fruit is cut down. Oh, so I have no expectations when I do karma? In fact, that's what a lot of people misunderstand karma yoga as, having no expectations when you do karma. That's why people say, I want to join an ashram and do karma yoga. Oh, what are you going to do? Some work without pay. That's not karma yoga. No. It's not that the expectations are not there, because without expectation, why will anyone do anything? Expectations are there, but they are managed because the focus is not on the fruit. The focus is on the action itself as a way to clean out the antahkarna, the inner instrument, the mind, etc. And the focus is also, really speaking, not on the action, but on the attitude with which the action is performed. So you could be doing anything. You could be cleaning, you could be cooking, you could be going to office, you could be coming back from office, whatever it is. You're in the moment and you are really focusing not on the action or the result. You're not focusing on the results at all, because whatever comes, you say, is Bhagavan's prasada. I'll get to that. And how can you say that? Because you say that my action I dedicate at the feet of the Lord. So you have dedicated the action, so anyhow it comes, you have to do your best, right? And then what? If the action belongs to the Lord, where is the fruit coming from? Yeah, not from your tata. So it is coming from the Lord. So therefore what? So therefore, the action is not in my hands. I'm just a conduit for the action. And whatever comes from Bhagavan. I am not focused on the result of action. What am I focused on? I am focused on doing the job well. This is what the Indian government, bless its heart, is trying to do in India, the new government. I read one interesting article. Recently, they had a swearing-in ceremony for a minister of the state. In the state, they had some midterm elections, and so the one who was there. And then so here was this whole Clean India campaign, Swachha Bharat Abhiyan. And then the workers of this party, they were so excited about the minister swearing in that they made the biggest mess of leaving all the plates of samosas and everything, completely right in the place where the inauguration was taking place. And so the reporters had a field day and took photos and put it in the, I think in the Indian Express. Very interesting it was. So, of course, and then somebody emailed it to me. This is how it all happens. And so this is what the whole thing is. And so like this, we have to see that the attitude with which the action is performed is important. And so being in the moment and doing what needs to be done, not what I want to do or what I don't want to do. So you see already the Raga Dvesha have gone to obedience school. Because what is the rule now? The rule is what needs to be done, what has to be done, not what I want to do. So they are out of the picture. And so, of course, I expect some results. But if I don't get them, then what do I say? This is Bhagavan. Bhagavan doesn't want me to have them. At least you can say right now. Maybe I'll try in 2 minutes. And see if my luck has changed. You can try. And then what? So, all this you can do. So, dedicating the action and then receiving the results thereof, and as it's going to be told later on, with glad acceptance. Prasada buddhya svikuru. Accept it gladly. This is the gym for the inner primates. Yeah. This is where they train and they develop some muscles of titiksha, shama, dama, etc. And then they will allow you to come and sit in the class without bothering you and throwing coconuts on your head and removing the focus, so that this knowledge shines immediately when it is taught. So you see the role of karma yoga? You cannot do without it. In fact, a whole lifestyle is dedicated to karma yoga. But there is also the space for those who have already done it in the last life. The majority of it. Correct? Yeah. There is space given to that. Because they could have done it in the last life. Yes, it is important to do it, but you could have done it asmin janmani janmantareva. So if karma yoga has already yielded the result, which is a quiet, contemplative, subdued mind, subdued of the ragadveshas, then you don't need to do karma yoga. Such people are sannyasis, and they can take to a life of knowledge all day and night long. The whole lifestyle is dedicated to knowledge. This is what is called Sankhya Yoga. They don't do anything except study and teach maybe. That's all they do, whole day. So this is what the whole thing is. You see, these are the two lifestyles. Karma Yoga means I have other roles to play. I may be a daughter or a son. I may be a spouse. I may be an employer or employee. I may be a co-worker. I may be a mother or father. I have these roles to perform. But I learn to perform these roles by dedicating my actions to Bhagavan, performing them to the best of capacities, learning from my mistakes, not for the sake of the fruits and accolades coming as a result of how well you have performed the roles, but for a sense of inner development and growth. So therefore I focus on the attitude with which I am doing the action rather than the action itself, and I let go of the karma phala, and whatever comes, whether it is bouquets or brickbats, I learn to take it with equanimity. Samatvam yoga uchyate, it's going to be told. Very beautiful. So these are not two paths. They are two lifestyles. What is the path? For ignorance. Knowledge. That's all it is. It's not that the karma yogi doesn't have self-ignorance. Everybody has self-ignorance. The self-ignorance is, has to be removed. How you do it, there is a choice. Either you can do it, slowly while gaining the inner maturity to understand it, or you can do it exclusively. This is the paths. These are the paths, means lifestyle. A committed lifestyle for the sake of, assimilating this knowledge. So Sankhya Vishaya Saptami. So with reference to Sankhya, this was already taught to you. Now, Yoga Buddhihi, this yoga knowledge, this particular attitude with which the actions are to be performed, please Shrinu, you please listen now. Equipped with this, you will go a long way and you will not have any difficulty in letting go of the bondage of karma, which is really the bondage of karma phala, which is the bondage created by my own expectations and my own disappointments and my inability to accept what is. If I don't accept what is, I keep longing for what isn't. Right? And so, we will look at the bhashya now. Esha te tubhyam abhihita ukta sankhye paramartha vastu viveka vishaye buddhihi jnanam sakshat. Sakshat means directly. So directly what? Tubhyam ukta. This was already told to you. Abhihita. How was it told? In the form of Sankhya. With reference to the Sankhya, with reference to the knowledge of renunciation, with reference to the knowledge of the Atma. All this was already told to you. With reference to Atma, Anatma, Vastu Viveka, Paramartha Vastu Viveka Vishaye, means what is the ultimate and how to recognize the ultimate and that ultimate is yourself, and that you alone you need to understand, and this is what is called Paramartha Vastu Viveka Vishaye Buddhihi. Buddhihi means here Jnana. That knowledge was wisdom, was given to you. Sakshat means directly by me. Why was it given to you? Now there is a long compound. Shoka Mohadi Samsara Hetu Dosha Nivritti Karanam. It looks huge, daunting, Shokam cha moham cha. How to resolve it? Shokam cha moham cha shoka moham. Shoka moham adihi yasya. There is a bahuvrihi here. First one. Shoka moham adihi yasya. Shoka mohau adihi yasya. Shoka mohadi. Shoka mohadehe samsarasya hetuhu tasya hetoho doshasya nivrittihi tasya karanam. Actually, it's a 6 TP. Ultimately, it's a series of 6 TP. Shashti Tatpurusha, meaning the defects of ajnana, which is what shoka mohadi. The defects of self-ignorance are sorrow and delusion. Yeah, and they are the cause of they are the cause of samsara, and this knowledge called Sankhya is the nivritti karanam, is the cause of the freedom thereof from these particular delusion, sorrow, fear, etc. called samsara. This was already given to you. Yoge tu tat prapti upaye. Is that upaye? Yeah. Tat prapti upaye nissangataya dvandva prahana purvakam ishvararadhanarthe karma yoge karma anusthane samadhi yoge cha imam anantaram eva uchyamanam buddhim shrinu. So buddhim shrinu, listen to this jnana, listen to this wisdom of karma yoga, buddhi yoga, and what is that? Please listen, which is cha imam anantaram eva, which is going to be immediately going to be talked about. Immediately means when? In the next verse. Yeah, which is going to be talked about. So then he says, yoge tu, whereas, in tat prapti upaye nissangataya dvandva prahana purvakam. And dvandva prahana purvakam means dualities. Dualities. Dvandva is dualities. Prahana means, letting go of those dualities. What are the dualities? Sukha, dukkha, crazy and sane. All these dualities. And so this is going to help you let go of the yo-yo buddhi in between the two dualities, caught in the dualities of happiness and sorrow. And so many dyads are there. And so in the everyday dualities, you are caught in all these dualities, and then so that you can see them from an objective place. Prahana means to leave them. You can step aside from them and leave them and see them from an objective place. And how can you leave them? Ishvara aradhanarthe. And then you can put yourself you can put yourself on a regimen of spiritual growth. How? By doing the karma for the sake of Bhagavan, as a worship. Do your action as a worship. So therefore the attitude of bhakti comes. So there is no bhakti yoga separate, it is already included in karma yoga. And even in jnana yoga it's all bhakti only. So therefore, the attitude here is Shraddha Bhakti Purasaraha Santaha. So keeping Shraddha and Bhakti, that is the attitude with which you move forward and you do each job as an act of worship for Bhagavan. Therefore we have this wonderful adage. What is that? Work is worship. So you do it worshipfully and keeping Ishvara in front, and then the karma yoge, meaning this is the karma yoga. What is this? Karma anusthane samadhi yogecha. So which is this understanding of meditation and also all kinds of activities that you do in your everyday life, all of which is going to be told to you very soon. So please listen. And then Adi Shankara says, Tam buddhim stauti prarochanartham. Prarochanartham means in order to make it tempting. Tam buddhim, that very wisdom, stauti, from stu. What is stu? To praise. Yeah, stauti. So second conjugation, that's why it sounds funny. So stauti takes vriddhi immediately. Stu becomes stau. So stauti, tam buddhim stauti. He praises this wisdom in order to make it attractive to the readers. So that when it is praised, then people will have confidence in this. And what does he say? Buddhyayaya, by which buddhi, yoga vishayaya, means by which this buddhi, this knowledge of karma yoga, yukta, endowed with, equipped with, he partha, O Arjuna, karma bandham, means what is karma bandha? Karma itself is a bondage. Karma eva bandha. And what kind of karma? Dharma akhya, means that which is called punya and papa, the results. So the results of action which are called karma bandha, papa akhya, punya akhya, and tam prahasyasi, you will let go of this. How will you let go of this? Very important clause. Ishvara prasada nimitti jnana praptehe. So you hetoho panchami. So the fifth case here in the form of the cause of the preparation for this knowledge. So through Bhagavan's grace, because you are doing every act as a worship, so Bhagavan will give you the fruits of your labor, but not in the way you anticipate. Yeah, he will take away some of the monkeys. Yeah, put them in someone else's head. Now that's not our problem, but anyhow. So he will recall the monkeys because the inner primate remote is with Bhagavan. And then suddenly you find that everything is much calmer. And because of this blessing, of this calm mind, you are able to assimilate the knowledge, because of which you are able to assimilate the knowledge. And then he is going to praise this further. What is he going to say? He is going to say that in Karma Yoga there are no rules, there is no starting date, there is no ending date, there is no muhurtam, means an auspicious time that you have to take out. In fact, there is nothing. You can just begin whenever you want, and if you forget one day, which you will, definitely, no problem, pick it up the next day. Yeah, the attitude of worshipful attitude with which the work is done, without really focusing on the results and learning to accept what comes and dedicating my action and the results thereof to Bhagavan and doing the karma for the sake of inner growth rather than for the sake of results. So this is what in short is Karma Yoga. More we will see in 2 weeks. Next week I am not in town. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions? Okay.